Hello and welcome back for the Whisky. My name's Mark and this is another whisky review. Today I'm going to be doing this red labelled whisky right here, which is the English Single Cask release. It is a virgin oak and a sherry maturation English single malt whisky. It was distilled in the December of 2016 and bottled in November of 2021, which makes it just shy of 5-year-old. So it's a 4-year-old English single malt single cask whisky. Its ABV is 52.6% ABV. So before I pour it and taste it, I've done a little bit of research into this particular whisky. There are 286 bottles available. It actually says so much on the label, which I'll bring a bit closer there. It is cask number... Where's the cask number again? There we go. Cask number B3/N103. You can find this available still online for 286 bottles released in 2021. So that's like nearly 5 years ago, which is almost the age of this whiskey. It's still available to buy. So it's available in the following retailers. It is available at Hard to Find Whisky for £79.95. It's available at Cask Cartel. Granted, that's a Californian company, but it's available for £189. It's available from JPHA, and they will sell it to you for £78.95. However, if you want a bargain, I believe my wife, who paid for this, paid £73.95 for it. But if you want a bargain, Chestnut House, so that's chestnuthouseonline.co.uk, have a bottle for £60, reduced from £74.95. So some absolute bargains to be had there. But I was saying I was doing some research, and one of the things that struck me about this particular whisky is the lack of further specifics. It's got a really nice dark amber hue to it, so there's a decent colour, which you may expect from some of the sherry maturation that's gone into this, because it does say it's double cask matured, but it's a single cask. That raises a question, doesn't it? But it doesn't tell us anything about whether it's non-chill filtered, which you would expect it to be at a cask strength whisky of 52.6% ABV, but it doesn't actually say it's cask strength either. It does say it's single cask. So I'm starting to get alarm bells going with this whisky. No chill filtration status, no colour status. It's a maturation of 2 casks, yet it's still a single cask, which can be allowed in Scotch whisky law, which has been adopted by English whisky. But when you start looking at retailers, none of that information is actually available. Nobody's telling you whether it's being chill filtered or whether it's being coloured. In fact, if you look at the listing for GPHA, they say it's a 9-year-old, so there's errors in listings. And that just takes me to a topic which really, it disappoints me that when a whiskey is released that you are going to invest your money in, such as this 4-year-old whiskey for £73, that the producers and the retailers don't do the courtesy of providing all of the information that you are going to want about this whiskey. So I'm not surprised that nearly 5 years later, this £73 whiskey hasn't sold out yet, because it's missing information. And, well, let's go and search the distillery's website, the English from Norfolk. They don't mention this whiskey at all. In fact, the English website don't actually have a bottle archive. They don't mention all their past releases, which I find disturbing, because it then relies upon a bit of Sherlock Holmes detective work to try and track down information about whiskies, which is why websites such as mine and Whiskey Base and whisky.com, I suppose, exist, because we're filling in the parts of the whiskey scene that neither the retailer nor the producer actually want to provide. So yeah, just a little bit of a rant, becoming a theme that you know, as time goes on, we notice these small things. But I poured myself a dram there. So I opened it last weekend when I was at my friend's house for the football against Mexico, which we won, thankfully. And I had a taste, but that was after a couple of other drinks, so it didn't really give us a full opportunity to understand a bit about what this whiskey is about. So that's what I'm going to do now. So on the nose, cheers. Well, you're getting the sherry influence above the virgin oak. It's raisins and chocolate. A little nutty on the nose, which is a surprising note there. It's a bit herbaceous. There's a bit of vegetal notes going in there. Maybe very slight cinnamon. Earthiness. There's definitely a little bit of earthiness in there, but the dominant notes are those from the sherry, the raisin, the chocolate, maybe the almond. On the palate, cheers. So on the palate again, it is that sherry that dominates. It's not a sherry bomb by any means, being a mix of two cask types, but you're getting the juicy raisins and sultanas, the festive spices, caramel, chocolate. There's a touch of bitterness there towards the finish. Caramel, vanilla, oak. Yeah. Would I say it's amazing, given that's a single cask? No, it's not amazing. It's nice. It's pleasant. Is it worth the £73 that this was cost for a 4-year-old whiskey? No, it isn't. In fact, because of the fact that there is no colour status, no chill filtration status, it doesn't score particularly highly on my value score. If I was to be kind and treat it as being non-chill filtered and non-coloured, you'd be looking at a value score of about 96. And that is being generous. There's no colour status, non-chill filtration status, cask strength status. The value score could be as little as 78. If we want to say it's cask strength, then the value score increases to 79. If we want to be generous and say that it is non-chill filtered and it is natural colour, then the value score will increase to 88 out of 100. It's actually 87.8 out of 100 for a 4-year-old whiskey. If we treat it as a 4-year-old whiskey, which we will do in this instance. I normally treat whiskies as being 8-year-old when it comes to non-age statement whiskies. If we treat that the same as that, you then get a 96.8 or a 96.9. But there's lots of unknowns about this whiskey. So, you know, to the law with regards to value scores, I'm going to go to 4 for age. I'm going to say that we don't know where the chill filtration is. We don't know what the colour status is. We don't know what the cask strength is, but we do know it's a single cask, and we'll go and calculate that, and it's 78.8. That's annoying because that is information that the producer could add quite easily. But can we talk about the double cask maturation? It's a single cask release, but it's a double cask. So if we talk about this whiskey in terms of Scotch Whisky Association rules, okay, they state that a whiskey can only come from a single cask. They cannot be vatting of casks. But what they can be is a whiskey finished in another cask. Well, this bottle says double cask maturated, double cask matured. But there's no more information about what they mean by that. Was it that the spirit spent time initially in virgin oak and then was transferred to ex-sherry for some more maturation period and then bottled? So it spent time in 2 casks, but it was the same spirit, which would be the legal definition of what is a single cask. Or has it been a full maturation in both a virgin oak and then a sherry cask, and then those 2 casks have then gone into a 3rd cask for a blending before being bottled as a single cask? It's probably the first. It's probably, let's say, 2 years in virgin oak, 2 years in sherry. So it's not a finishing, it's an equal in both. I suspect the sherry influence coming through means there's been some pretty fresh casks getting used. That is the dominant note there, with water now. The sherry is still the dominant aspect of that. It's relaxed a bit. There's more fruit notes coming through. It's more Christmas cakey. It is a pleasant whiskey, but still a disappointing whiskey because of the lack of information. But this isn't a Scotch whiskey. This is an English whiskey. And the English Whiskey Guild adopted Scotch Whisky Association rules. But they didn't come into effect until February 2025. And this whiskey was released in 2021. So the rules, this whiskey doesn't need to abide by because they didn't exist. But the Scotch Whisky Association rules did exist. So this is, if this was a Scotch whiskey, it would be towing the line very finely as to whether they could call this a single cask whiskey. My point here is it's a lack of transparency. There's a lack of information. The distillery's own website does not tell you anything about this whiskey. You can't find it. The bottle tells you very little about this. The box is just a generic box. There's no information relating to this specific whiskey on this box. The retailers' websites tell you very little specifics about this whiskey beyond its ABV. It's the front label information, basically, which I just find that irritating. Am I wrong here? Or should you be irked by this? Because you're spending good money on these whiskies, and yes, it tastes great. It's a nice whiskey. It's an easy whiskey. It's very much an autumnal whiskey for these cold winter nights where you're starting to approach Christmas and you want to have those sensations of Christmas cake and sit in front of a log fire, and maybe if you have a cigar, have a cigar. But I just feel a bit let down by the fact that we've been having this conversation about transparency ever since I started going on this whiskey journey, and since my channel started in 2020. And I'll give the English, some leeway here, because this is a, it's an older release, fair dues. But come on, websites, if you've still got it in stock, can't you do a bit more? Can't you keep your information up to date? Can't you get your factual information correct? I don't know. Am I being harsh? What do you think? Let me know. But anyway, cheers. Rant over. See you on the next one.